Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge we have from, well, the company was founded in 1830. William Bellows, Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. William Bellows, Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. It's distilled in Kentucky, and it's aged in Kentucky for 4 years, but it's bottled by Bellows and Company in St. Louis, Missouri. Luxco, I got it up looking on their website just now. Beam Repeal Batch, introduced in 2018, limited edition. For how long? I don't know. It's been 2 years now. 86 proof. I forgot to put that in the description. Heck. So I always forget something. 86 proof versus 80 proof. 4-year age versus no age statement. There's no age statement here. Am I going to be able to tell them apart? I did blended last night for Fandango Friday. I did Kentucky Bow versus Kentucky Gold, the last of the Kentucky Gold. I got them mixed up. I couldn't tell them apart. So, but those are so common and sort of low quality. They are low quality, but they have some redeeming qualities, believe it or not. Now, these two are straight whiskey, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, all right? No filler, no grain spirits or anything like that. Now, we know that the Repeal Batch has no age statement, meaning what? It's aged at least 4 years. At least 4 years, probably not long, much longer than that, if it's at all longer, but there is no age statement. But the Bellows does give one. Okay, so JB, Jim Beam, JB. And this will be the last of the bourbon for a good while. And then we'll be bringing in Cooper's Craft by and by. I bought Cooper's Craft, and by the time I get around to it, they've already changed the label. They might have changed it twice by the time I get around to it, but these companies tend to do that. They'll update the labels. But I bought it, and I said, look at this nice looking label and bottle design, then they went change it. But I got a good deal on the Cooper's Craft. Okay, now I got a good deal on the Repeal Batch. It was set I'll get it right. It was $12.97, $12.87 if I recall. $12.87 at Walmart, $12.87. I've seen other stores have $17.99. I was thinking about buying it for $17.99. I thought it was a good price until I realized it wasn't really. The Bellows, cheapest bourbon I ever got in my life. $5.99 for a liter. I don't know what Savannah Discount was thinking, but I didn't argue. They said $5.99. I was like, what? Well, you know, that didn't last but like a day because I never saw it before and I never saw it after. They must have got a case or so in, and they blew them out at $5.99 a liter. Like, that's crazy, right? Jojo, happy Saturday, Jay. Cheers. Cheers to you, Jojo. I was going to go to a Southeastern baseball game last night. The State University of New York at Stony Brook at Southeastern Louisiana University. But man, 8 mile an hour breeze. You said that's not a lot. I know it isn't when it's 80. But when it's 59 at first pitch and the temperature's dropping, I was like, Got down to 30, what was that, 34 degrees up there at Southeastern Louisiana. I was like, I don't want to deal with that. I just don't want to sit in the cold. So I skipped it. That's the second game I missed this year due to cold. That's all right. They won at least. Good old early March baseball. Yeah, it's not even March yet. They start in February. Ron into the United States. Oh, good morning, Ron. Hey, Maxwell, to you in Russia. Late February, right. It's not the right time to play baseball, but the problem is they're doing it during the school year. You know, they're in college, so They have to start in February so they could be wrapping up the season, the regular season in May when school is out. And if you make the playoffs, then you could go, into the conference tournaments. And if you get invited to the national tournament, NCAA tournament. And then if you the final 8, you can go to the College World Series, which would be the final. Like in basketball, they have the Final 4. That's the final 8, the College World Series, they call it. It's funny they call it the World Series because it doesn't represent the world. It only represents American baseball, just like professional baseball, the World Series, representing all the countries of the world, meaning the United States and nobody else. Okay. I mixed them up already, and one of these is darker. This is dark copper, dark amber, and this is more of a gold. But I forgot to check which was which, so I don't know. Maybe that's a good thing. Chris Sale is starting the season on the injured list for the Sox, unfortunately. I saw that. He's crazy, though. Y'all have him. Good. I'm glad the White Sox got rid of him because he's crazy. I don't want to wear those uniforms. The White Sox say, well, that's what we're doing this weekend because it's the 40th anniversary of these throwback uniforms. And he was saying, I don't want to wear them. They said, well, you work for us. We don't work for you. So then while everybody was gone, he went in the clubhouse and took scissors and cut all the uniforms up so that they couldn't use them. They said, A, you're paying for every uniform you damage. It's going to cost you a lot of money. And B, you're never going to play again for us. And C, you're crazy and we're trading you. So I would say, bye, get rid of him. Let Boston deal with that. Okay, so I'm very hostile towards him because, that's wrong. You don't do that. That's like craziness. Okay, it's not like, it is craziness. It is. Then he's hurt all the time, so. Now, I know how people are. They say he's crazy, but he's our crazy. I don't really go for that. Even the New Orleans Saints football team, they don't really go for that. If you have like a bad attitude or bad something with you, they don't really keep you around generally. Kind of just don't want that kind of character around. Other teams will tolerate it, Probably most teams will tolerate it. I don't know what you think about that, JoJo. You can put comments about it. This smells like I shouldn't have eaten grits this morning, because I had grits with the corned beef hash, and now this smells like grits. I always say that about bourbon. It smells like grits. Well, it's just, sweet, semi-sweet corn. Like you say, vanilla. People get that from the oak. So let's say oak and the charred oak. It's very basic. He's a strikeout machine, but always seems to get injured after the All-Star break. Right. Yeah, and he's peculiar. Bad temper. A lot of these pitchers are like that. Bad temper. Like they can't handle the pressure. Like the guy for Cleveland last year. But you say they don't take steroids anymore. They're not supposed to. But they take a lot of other things that are legal. And I think they just like makes them loony or something. And I'm talking about across both leagues. I'm not just talking about the Red Sox. They got a lot of these pitchers that are crazy. I don't mean literally crazy, like they hear voices and they have delusions. They believe things that aren't true. They're just like, their temperament crazy. Assessment on aroma. There is no particular difference. What I mean is you smell one, and I described it. You smell the other, and that's the appearance. Yeah, one's darker, okay, and I don't know which one of that is. The aroma, it's like typical bourbon. Yellow corn grits, some char, the oak, vanilla like oak, whatever people say, call that. Am I a huge bourbon fan? No, not really. Do I hate bourbon and dislike it? No, I don't hate it or dislike it. I don't see why it is as big. Like what the I don't get the major mania about it, is what I'm saying. You know, people just get crazy over it. Like, oh, I don't drink any other liquor except for the real stuff, bourbon. It's like, why you got to be like that? You know, I mean, I am sipping on them all the time, and they have such a general quality to them. A big reason why I love Pedro Martinez was because he dominated in the heart of the steroids era while pitching in a batter's ballpark. Not to mention he was a small pitcher as well. He didn't seem to have a bad temper so bad. You know what I mean? Like he might, but he would just like smile and then the ball would be right by your head. Then you would have a bad temper. All right. Flavor. Same thing. I mean, sweet corn. We've all had corn grits. Well, I don't know. A lot of people up north say, what is a grit? You know, like it's a kind of like, oh, it's so exotic. People in the South eat grits. It's not really exotic to take corn and pulverize it and then make like a porridge out of it, like oatmeal. You know what I'm saying? Like you add water, you heat it up, it gets soft, you eat it. But for some reason it's seen as some kind of exotic thing. But that's what this tastes like. Of course, I had white hominy grits, you see. You don't really see yellow hominy grits. You can buy a can of yellow hominy from Bush's. It's got salt added, so, you know. It's sort of like soft corn chip. This tastes like that. People talk about corn chips, you know. Frito-Lay, Fritos. I don't think these are remarkably different from that. This one here might have a little more rye spice, so you get more of a peppery note. That's what'll differentiate them usually, like if they have a higher level of wheat, a lower level of wheat, higher rye, lower rye, and those factors, a higher proof, lower, you know, age and whatnot. Now that can really make it more magnificent, I think. Well, of course it will. So let's see if I can tell them apart on the proof. They both taste a little candy-like too. I always say that about bourbon, tastes like candy. A lot of candy is made out of corn syrup, you know that? And so then the bourbons will start tasting like candy. Like a candy, like candy, you know, candy. I want candy. Okay. I know people might say you're a deconstructionist. You just want to deconstruct the bourbon and like break it all down into component parts instead of appreciating its overall, the summation of it. Yeah, I kind of agree with that, but I agree with the accusation. But that's what I like to do with them. Beer and wine too, you know. 83%, 43% alcohol versus 40. This is very difficult. This one does seem like it's a little higher proof, but it's not a glaring difference, if it's a difference at all. But now, so I don't know what Bellows costs in your area. It's not even sold in my town. Like you go anywhere in this town, you don't see Bellows. I've never seen it. Could be on some store. Well, have I been to every store? I think so. In New Orleans, you'll find it in some isolated locations. So I don't want anybody to be under the impression that Bellows is common in Louisiana. It is not common. It's an oddity, and you barely see it. Okay. Now you might live in a town where it's common, like it's everyday bourbon. Okay, but here it isn't. It is not. But $5.99 a liter, I seriously doubt. I would almost guarantee that it, and there's a picture in the background, like some old Kentucky picture in the yellow thing. But I would almost guarantee that it's not $5.99 a liter, right? Like that's an unusually low price. So I don't know what it is in your town. Jim Beam Repeal Batch. Okay, yeah, that's ubiquitous. It's going to be everywhere. Everybody's going to have that, unless they've ended their run. You know, the production run probably has ended now. So whatever bottles you see, probably just leftover bottles. They may have a big backstock, kind of like the Seagram's VO Gold. The production ceased in 2017, but you probably see it for 10 years because of just the backstock, unless Sazerac brings it back. You know what I'm saying? So $5.99 for a liter versus $12.87 for a 750. You're getting 25% more in the Bellows. So if you're talking priced versus value and enjoyability and all that, obviously the Bellows is the clear winner. Okay, because what I'm tasting here, there's not one that's much better than the other. If there is even one better than the other, you see what I'm saying? I'm not so sure one of these is better than the other. So if I can't even figure that out, there's no other answer. The Bellows wins. It's so much cheaper, and then you don't lose any quality. I'm not tasting. You say, but it's not non-chill filtered. The Jim Beam is non-chill filtered. Okay, I know that. Is there a great payoff from that? I'm not seeing it, but I could be missing it. I could be totally missing. Could be just going past me. Like I have no ability to understand that. Kind of like the person on Rock and Roll Club 2 days ago that was totally missing my point. They were talking about this band Midnight Oil. Oh, Midnight Oil. They were so excited about them. And I have no hatred toward them. The couple of songs I heard from them sounded fine, the music itself. But they were going on and on. I said, well, you know, when I first heard them, I was impressed. But then they seemed like they were preachy liberals, you know, like preachy, like, I said, if I wanted to hear that, I'd go to a Sanders rally. You know what I'm saying? And then so the lady jumped in and she says, what was preachy about it? I said, just preachy, you know, like I need to be hearing all this. Like I can't do this. She said, well, caring about Aboriginal people is not preachy. Caring about the environment is. I said, wait. I said, I didn't say the issues were the issue, the environment, Aborigines or whatever. I said it was the preachiness that was the issue. See, she missed the point. I wasn't talking about the environment and the merits or the demerits of Aboriginal policy in Australia. I was talking about the preachiness kind of presentation that the band has. She just kept going on. Well, you should care about how the Aborigines are treated. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to argue with you because you're not even understanding what the point is. Right? I mean, I'm not going to, it's not registering, so there's no use going further with that. So I didn't argue about it. It's like I was talking about the 14th Amendment one time on Facebook, and this guy kept going on and on about, well, some of my best friends are gay and all this. I was like, this post is totally unrelated to the merits or demerits of that type of activity. It's about the 14th Amendment and the effects of the 14th Amendment on case law in the United States, basically. And he just kept saying it. said, you want me to try to make this more simplified for you? So I tried to simplify it. And then he said, I'm done. He blocked me. And the only reason I ever watched his beer reviews was out of courtesy because I never did think they were good. And he was always bragging on my page, talking about, I love your reviews. You're the best. Let's be friends. Now, okay, well, let's do that. But that's what I talked about in the past, volatile people. You know, you can't trust them because they're, like Brian Wilson said, they come on like they're peaceful, but inside they're so uptight. You know, when that song, Hold On to Your Ego. And I've been through that many times with these people that are like unusually, there's like a sort of an unusual level of adulation. Like they'll ask you to be their friend on Facebook and you approve it. And they're like, I'm so honored. Thanks for adding me. Right then, that's got me a little, I'm thinking, uh-oh. Got one of the crazy people, you know what I mean? And then it always kind of plays out that way. But you can't do much about volatility with people. And if you're not smart, I can't make you smart. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be ugly. I'm just saying, you know, you can't use talent that you don't have. I think we understand it. It's like me trying to play tennis. I could do it. It would be pathetic. I don't have that talent. I don't have that ability. So I'm not going to try to act as though I do. In other words, I don't try to enter arenas that I'm not equipped to enter. I got to say, these are very difficult. And if you want to be honest, and we may as well be honest here, I would say almost impossible to tell apart. Beam-Suntory is probably putting me on a list saying, get him. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I just can't. I don't see. There are differences. They're minimal. I'm not detecting any practical difference. So even before I try to tell them apart here now in the last couple of minutes, we're going to say Bellows easily wins. Easily wins. The price is half the price, and you're getting more, 25% more liquor, if you want to use that kind of thinking. And secondly, there's no real differentiation. Slight difference in proof, and I think that's what this is, and I think that's the Beam. But it's so slight. So let's go. I'll give it one more taste. Yeah, that seems a little bit mellower. This one seems a little bit more heavy on the alcohol, but it's very, very difficult to tell, like I said. Yeah, but I think, yeah. And I'm getting that waxiness. You ever notice what a high proof, and 86 is not high proof, but you know what I'm saying? The higher proof you go, you get up the ladder, the more waxiness you get. Now explain that. I'm not a scientist, so I can't explain. But you ever notice that? I noticed that the higher the proof, you get more of a waxy note, which I find strange, but it's there. I always notice that. It's like a wax, like a, I don't know what kind of wax, candle wax, beeswax, a chewing wax, something. It's there. It's indisputable in my tasting that it's there. And that kind of is a tip off. So I'm going to say this is the Jim Beam, but it's not better. It's just a little different. I'm going to know right now. It is the Jim Beam. I feel a little bit better. I was kind of worried. You say that's why you were talking about all that other stuff. You're trying to delay it, trying to buy some time, right? Yeah, a little bit. Just trying to buy time, you know. But although I think what I said made sense, I mean, it probably makes sense to you. You know, you run across people like that. They're a little too enthusiastic at first, you know, like that TV show, Too Close for Comfort. You know what I'm saying? Like, that usually is a betrayal of a craziness. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a little bit of an indication of cuckoo-ness. You know what I'm saying? You know them for 2 days and they're your best friend. You think, something ain't right. Somebody is talking to somebody when there ain't nobody else around. You know what I'm saying? you know. All right. Anyway, I'm not saying they have form delusions or actual auditory hallucination or visual hallucination, but you know, they could be on that highway, you know, the lost highway, the lost highway. Anyway, so Bellows, look, it's gone. Hey, except for that little last drop. It's nice to see that they can do products that are good, like this straight Kentucky whiskey, because man, if you want to try something that'll make you question lots of things, for instance, like why did I buy this? Get the Bellows Club whiskey. I don't think it's produced anymore, thank goodness. Maybe they got wise and said nobody likes this junk. Bellows Club whiskey. Ah, so unpleasant. So unappealing. And I got so much left. But then they can do this. The straight whiskey, the Kentucky straight bourbon is nice. It's nice. The Jim Beam Repeal Batch is nice. It's nice. I wouldn't necessarily pay more for it though. I may as well just get Jim Beam. But if you want to be techno, I'll just get Evan Williams Green Label for $10.99 a liter. But yeah, I said that. Yeah, I said that. Yeah, I went there. I did talk. I would get Evan Williams Green Label over Jim Beam, but it's the truth. May as well say it. All right, okay. Get it together. The news is coming up. All right, gotta go. The news.